Hello and welcome to the Bober Academy Football Podcast. We are excited to bring back our Lineman of the Week series here for the 2022 season, where we're going to be highlighting great offensive line play throughout the Omaha metro area and surrounding areas. We're going to bring high school offensive linemen onto the show and their coaches and talk about their season, what they're doing, and everything to do with offensive line play. This podcast is brought to you by the Bober Academy. I started the Bober Academy in 2019 with the mission to train and develop superior linemen to dominate on the gridiron. I'm your host, Chris Bober, 8-year NFL veteran. I've started games in the NFL at every offensive line position, and I love dealing with anything to do with football, especially the offensive line. Now, if you are listening to this podcast, we're on your podcast app. Just be sure to click the subscribe button. So make sure that you're getting notified of our weekly shows. We do a lot of different shows out there. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, click the little button down there to subscribe to our channel and also the notification bell. We would love your comments and your feedback. And if you're seeing this anywhere out there on social media, feel free to like, share, retweet, comment, whatever goes on out there in the social media world. We want to spread the message of great offensive line play. So thank you for joining us. Let's get to the show. All right, as we get back to the Bober Academy Football Podcast, this, of course, is our Offensive Lineman of the Week, where we highlight great offensive line play throughout the Omaha, Nebraska area. And this week, we're joined by an old friend of mine, Coach Tim Williams, over there at Papillion LaVista High School. And, of course, his O-lineman he chose is Jace Wheeler, senior, playing right guard. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right over there, the right guard, man. That's awesome. So the Papio's coming off, maybe a little bit of disappointing start to the season. They had an awesome game one, right? Played a really tough Middle North team and ended up losing overtime, which is, of course, a heartbreaker. And then last week they go up against their rival Papio South, and man, it was a pretty tough football game, especially the first half. You guys hung in there. I thought you guys played really tough. Some things didn't go your way in the second half, ended up losing that game. But, Coach, let's start with you.
Sure.
Tell me about your team and where you are. I mean, 0-2 isn't where anyone wants to start, but, there's a lot of football left to be played. What's your message to these guys, and what do you see coming out of going into this week?
Yeah, sure. I've said from day one, when I met with all the parents, I just said, hey, we've got a really young team. We've got a lot of kids that don't have a lot of varsity reps at all, don't even have varsity minutes. And this year we're putting them in situations that are pretty high stressful situations. Miller North was a good test for us, and I thought we let that one slip away a little bit. Well coached. I think that the last week's game against Papio South was another game where I just didn't think that we had a good week of practice, and because of that, it showed on the field. And I think there's a lot more to it. Obviously, both teams are coached well that we played. Papio South did some things to us up front that kind of caused us some confusion, especially with some of our younger kids. And it was a well schemed game by them. And the thing that I noticed the most was that we didn't practice well. And I told them that in the locker room after the Papio South loss. And I just said, hey, you guys have to either pick up the way you practice or things are going to stay the same. And they answered well. And I thought this week's been a good week of practice.
Yeah, it's some of the best coaching you can do is when you are losing. You know what I mean? Because you kind of get their attention. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to get punched in the mouth a little bit and get them maybe a little bit motivated. So sounds like you guys are working hard over there and looking for improvement. It's kind of looking for improvement every day and every week. How about you, Jace? I know as a senior, this isn't the start you wanted, but how do you think it's been so far, and what's your take on what's happened, in the game so far, and what you see coming up?
I think we have a great team, young guys, obviously, but we just need to get better every single week and just get after it every day at practice.
Yeah, it's so funny because I played at every level, obviously. And even at the NFL level, if you want to watch like guys who are masters of their craft, the coaches talk about so much about, and you hear the good coaches talk about, we had a really good week of practice. And to the people that don't play football or are not in football, they're like, well, yeah, they're supposed to practice well. but that's how important it is, right? You
Yeah.
can't play well unless you practice well, and that's a skill, man. It's hard to learn, and it definitely takes leaders like Jace here. All right, Coach. All right, let's talk about kind of what you guys do on offense. Now, I'm not a defensive expert. I do watch defense, obviously, but when I was at your game, I was down there. I always go down, stand down in the end zone because I want that end zone film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm taking it myself. I've got it on my iPhone. And what I noticed you guys do is you guys are just a power running football team, right? You do a lot of power, a lot of counter, a lot of inside zone. You got big physical guys up front. And it seems like that's kind of how you want to run and set the tone in for your team, especially up front. Is that kind of your motto as far as like offensively? You want to kind of own the trenches and dominate up there?
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of a pin and pull situations. I really like doing all this stuff. I think it's putting our linemen on the run. I think is really good for high school linemen. Period. I just think it's good football. Power football has always been something. When I first started coaching, I coached under Tim Bond at Omaha Bryan, and Tim Bond was double tight eye and power football, and it was get after it. It's our guys versus your guys, and I learned. I mean, that's what I learned. I just kept those. That philosophy as I've gone on, and even going over to Millard South after I left Brian and going under Andy Means and Andy, different style football, more spread football, and Trevor Long was the offense coordinator at the time, and Jim Kame was the offensive line coach, and they were more inside zone, but a lot of the stuff that we do, I got from Jim Kame and Trevor Long and Andy Means and Tim Bond, and the our counter play and our dart play and a lot of that stuff is stuff that I learned over time, and I've just fallen in love with it, and that's something that we're continuing to do at Papillion LaVista.
Yeah, I like it too. I was amazed because when I got back into this O-line stuff with my Bober Academy, I started going out around high school football. My son's not graduated, but what I noticed, coming from the NFL, you run a little bit of everything. But in high schools, they run so much of, like the pin and pull type plays because you get angles on guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be the best, have the biggest lineman to, run trap and counter and play and power and things like that because you can get angles on guys and move them out of gaps. In fact, I got a series coming out. I just finished my man and zone blocking. I'm doing gap scheme blocking coming out soon, my coach too. And I learned it a lot, but there's a lot of technique to it. How about you, Jason? I've seen your film. I've seen you on double teams. And I've seen you pulling. Tell me about the guys up front. Tell me about what you think of this offense and what you guys are doing up front.
Well, obviously, I love running. I don't want to pass the ball, but I think we had a great group of guys. We're all together, close knit. I think we get the job done.
Yeah, I watched you guys during the game, and I watch only the O-line, and seems like you guys, that's what you're doing. What do you like better? Do you like being on that front side where you're double teaming that 3 technique, or do you like being the puller?
Double teaming.
Yeah, I tell you what, you got great technique, man. You come off strong, you get your second step down, and I see you moving guys. And doing a good job, and then you really open up that gap when you get those guys moved, right? Yeah, he's a double team guy, Coach.
Well, there's no doubt. If you ever watch him in practice, I think he gets mad at me every time we send him on a pole. I think he'd rather just stay right where he is and do it. But it is funny. Sometimes I laugh, but it's.
So you think pulling is kind of like passing the ball to you? It's kind of like a little not as physical. You just want to get after it, right?
Yeah. Well, it's still physical, but
yeah. Yeah, I can totally appreciate that. You totally need guys up there. Now, Coach, you got a pretty good running back there too. He looks like he's rushed for some good yards. Prestito, right? And he's got over 200 yards so far. And how are you featuring him in your offense?
That's funny. We have 2 running backs. I mean, we use Peyton Prestito and Jordan Barrientos, both juniors. Yeah, and they're a good 1-2 punch. Peyton Prestito is more of that power runner. Jordan's got some strength to him too, but Jordan's like that little scat back that you want. So it's kind of a good 1-2 punch. Peyton starts on defense for us. So it's really nice to have that kid so that when Peyton needs a quick breather, we can give Jordan in and Jordan sees holes real well, just like Peyton, and both those kids are just so good to have back there. And I've been so happy with those two because at practice they're just really good leaders, in the backfield. But when they're running the ball, it's been nice to be able to say, hey, this is where we're going, because of the fact that you got people like Jace, on the right side, and his right tackle is another senior, Levi Widowson, and our center is a junior. I think he works with you, Coach Bober. I think Dallas Hamilton. We have a Keith Harris, who's our left guard, and we get our another left guard back that we had lost to an injury during the camp. He comes back this week, and Cole Bader, and then our left tackle's a sophomore, and he's last game he's played, prior to the season was freshman football. Wow. And I think he's just getting better every week, and I credit the running back's success to the leadership that comes from the man that's on here with us, and Jace's leadership on that line isn't vocal. He's not a vocal guy. Jace just does his job, and Dallas has improved immensely because he's right next to him, and Garen is becoming a better lineman because he's got these guys next to him, and who wouldn't want to be like Jace? I mean, when Jace is playing football, those guys want to block even harder because he's blocking that way, and our running backs have just become better backs for us because of the leadership that Jace has.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Of course, I'm going to think the O-line is going to make the running backs look good, but so much of it is in the running backs, right? Yeah. It's they can make your O-line look good too by making the right reads, getting the extra yards, running through arm tackles, things like that. Yeah. Jace, tell me about your running backs. I always know that I always had a special relationship with the running backs because the quarterback's back there throwing the ball, but the running back's like down in the trenches with you, right? So tell me what it's like. You got two guys up there. Are they different when one comes in and the other one's out? Do you have a different personality? What's your relationship like from the O-line back to the running backs?
I think we're all close with both of them. It's the same stuff every single time. We're not going to change something up just because one person's in.
Yeah. Yeah. The running backs are smart. They hang out with their linemen, and then they buy them Gatorade and soda and lunch once in a while. That's what you got to do. Say, you guys want some more yards? You get fatten us up a little bit, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So I mean, you already went down this O-line here, Coach. But I was going to ask you even more about Jace here. I mean, I see how powerful he is, but give me some more info on Jace. I mean, I see him out there. I see him playing tough. What's your take on coaching a guy like Jace and having a great leader like him up front?
Having Jace on our football team is a lot of fun. Jace is serious when he's supposed to be serious, and he's a goofball when he's not supposed to be serious. You almost have to be careful when we're just kind of standing around waiting for the next session, because he might come up behind you and get you. I gave him some crap today because he came after me about something, and boy, he needs to get as close. Hopefully his mom's hearing this in the background right now. I hope she cleans his stuff because he stunk today. So, but that's just because of the fact that he works so hard. I just love his personality. I know the kids love his personality. Kids love his work ethic. He's a weight room kid. I think he's over 500 squatter now. I mean, he does exactly what we ask of him, and he's getting better every day.
That's awesome, especially your senior year. You need guys like that. And Coach, O-linemen are supposed to smell, man. We're not supposed to be pretty. We're supposed to be, kind of unapproachable, and that's kind of our. It's a pride thing for us, Yeah. It's later in life that I learned how to use deodorant and stuff like that. That's okay. Don't worry. All right, Jace, tell me about your guys up front. Now, the Dallas is a kid that I've worked with. He's got a lot bigger since I've seen him. He's a pretty intense guy. Came over about knocked me over on the sidelines. But tell me about your boys up front, man. Give me some dirt on them. We're gonna put this out there on YouTube and Twitter and all this stuff. And this is your chance. This is your chance to get one on them. Tell me about your guys and some of the fun things about those guys.
Well, our right tackle, Levi Widowson, he's a great dude. He does show choir, so we mess around. We mess with him a little bit, but he's really good. He just great technique.
Yeah.
biggest, but he just gets the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dallas, he's pretty big, vocal leader on the line, and he's great. I love having him next to me. And then Keith Harrer, he's pretty small. He's about 230, something like that, but he's gonna go out there and hit you. He doesn't care how big you are or anything like that. And then I would say Garen Maley, he's been learning like crazy. You should have seen him this summer.
Yeah.
The improvements, it's insane.
There's no dirt. You don't have any dirt on these guys. He's asking for dirt.
Who's good looking? Who's who smells the most? Who does that kind of stuff? There's got to be some good stuff. O-line is pretty close.
We mess around with Levi and Dallas probably the most.
Yeah.
So Dallas, we crack jokes about his mom and stuff like that, but
jeez, I don't know this.
He doesn't like it.
That's funny. You got to get him going. He seems like the kind of guy that has to kind of play on the edge. When I saw him, he was just kind of hitting himself in the head and defense, just kind of just a wrecking ball in there. You need a guy like that, right?
Yeah. Before the game, we're always headbutting everything.
Yeah. That is awesome. That's good stuff there. All right, Coach. You guys got obviously you got 7 games left at least. And you guys got Lincoln South this week, and they're coming in 0-2 as well, right? So between you guys and them, you don't want to start out 0-3, so that's going to be quite a battle. And then you start going through your district. Looks like your schedule, maybe isn't as tough, although every week's a tough week, I got to say. But what's your message for these guys going forward for the rest of the season? What are you saying to those guys? Do you have like a team motto, or how is it on a day-to-day basis? As you look towards the rest of the season?
Yeah, I told these guys that we have a goal, and our goal is to get into the playoffs. I said, I don't know how you're going to do it, but you guys got to do it. You got to learn how. These guys need to learn how to win. When you go down 0-2, the confidence level goes down a little bit, and sometimes you can see teams just take a dive after that 0-2 start, and you say, "What are you doing?" But I haven't seen that from these kids. Jace mentioned it a little bit earlier. He said that this is a pretty close group, and I think that that's true. I think that these kids do like to be around each other, and I think they do like to be, competing with one another. But Southeast is another test, and they're a well-coached football team, and they've got good football players, and it's another opportunity for our young kids to improve at their position and to improve as a team. And I told these kids that we need to get better by the time we hit district play. We want to be good by the time we hit district play. We got 2 weeks to do so. We got the game Friday night against Southeast, and we got a game against a 2-0 Lincoln Southwest team right now. Mm-hmm. And then we start our district play against Omaha Benson and Omaha Burke and Omaha Central and Creighton Prep. And we've got to be able to not make the mental mistakes, and we got to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Quit playing behind the sticks, which is what we played last week against Papio South a lot. And those things have been dwindling this week in practice. I'm not going to say that they haven't continued to happen, but they have gotten less and less as the weeks went on. So my message to answer your question, I know I'm just rambling, but to answer your question, it's just keep chopping away, just keep getting better, and things will come. It's a young team.
Yeah. I mean, really, you got nothing to lose. You know what I mean? I mean, all you can do is lose another game, and you might as well come out fighting. And it's that day by day, trying to get a little bit better every week, and trying to keep them from pivoting towards, the being down the dumps to coming out fighting. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's all you can do. I did notice that in the game, when you run the kind of football you run, a power football, you're not set up to make big, long passes. Not that they can't be there. It's just not how you're built. So you can't play behind the chains. Like the offsides, the holding, those kind of penalties will put you in a position where when you want to run the football, you got to go away from what you want to do. So that's a great lesson. How about you, Jace? You got the rest of the season left, your senior season. And what's some of your guys' goals up front, and what are you guys talking about coming out 0-2 and knowing that you got to come out and play better?
Well, a big focus this week was just we want to be dirty at practice. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna make everyone work around us to make us better, and we're eliminating all the penalties and just getting better every day.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds simple, but that's kind of what football is, kind of eliminating penalties and realizing it's not really what they do on the other side, it's more what you do and how far can you push it. Now tell me about, I know that, you're a big dude, senior year. Are you looking to go play at the next level? I mean, I see you've had some interest out there. What's going on with you with that?
Yeah, I definitely want to play college football. I have 2 offers right now.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And, you keep on putting good film on tape. Those things come in and, it's a different world than when I was getting recruited. Well, wasn't recruited very much, but, everything's out there, but it really just matters about your tape. You know what I mean? Go out and do that. And then you got a coach gives you a glowing report. They're going to talk to the coaches and people like that. And that's definitely going to help you out. All right. So
I didn't mean to cut you off. Little plug though. For the college coaches that watch your podcast, I will tell you, he's a steal. I mean, he's going to be a steal because he's going to be a fighter, and he wants construction management. And so I like to say that because colleges need to know that he wants to get into construction management, and I think that's just something that needs to be known.
Well, and that's also good to know because, like, I have a math and engineering degree, right? I went to school, and there's something about those people who are in those kind of degrees that that they can work and they're gonna. It's very technical, right? And you can't just breeze through it. This isn't a communication degree or anything like that,
right?
Like you saw the old time football players, just everyone had communication degrees,
Mm-hmm.
Linemen, man, they got to get in the classroom and to hear a guy that's going to be eligible, that's going to go to class and stuff like that. That's a big deal. So good for you, man. Good for you. But, okay, man, we got a lot of good stuff here. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Coach, best of luck for the rest of the season. I know you got a young team, but I don't know. I always kind of felt like that's some of the best coaching you can do. Some of the funnest times are getting these guys just to believe that they can win. Some years you're going to have teams that are just going to be really, really good. And some years you're going to have to coach a lot and you can make so much progress there. So I hope you're having fun with it and getting better every week. And Jace, I always say this to the guys around here, especially the seniors, man. Your senior high school football season is one of the coolest seasons you'll ever have. I don't know how much you're going to go play. I got to play 19 seasons total, and I'll always remember my senior year of high school. There's something about just being the dude out there, right? Being out in practice, being smelly and, knocking people over and doing that stuff. That's what linemen do, man. It's football. And it's a great lesson for life. So the things that you're getting out of football, you're going to take and use the rest of your life. And hopefully we're watching you play, next few years on Saturday. So that's awesome. So guys, I really appreciate it. I'm going to be looking for Papio. You guys got such great support down there. I came and talked to your guys' booster thing last year, and I was amazed at the parents that are there. You got a bunch of people that want to see you guys succeed. So a lot of people backing you up. You got your folks, you got alumni, and you got a great coaching staff out there. So once again, this is the Bober Academy Football Podcast with Coach Tim Williams out of Papio, and of course, senior Jace Wheeler. Guys, best of luck the rest of the season. We'll be rooting you on. Go out there and win the battle in the trenches, okay?
Hey, thanks for having us on.
Thanks, guys.
The Bober Academy Football Podcast is available on all podcast platforms. So wherever you listen to your podcast, we're going to be on there. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. That way you get notified of new episodes. Also, we are on YouTube. If you want to find us on YouTube, just search for the Chris Bober Lineman Academy. And be sure to also subscribe to our page. Click the notification bell and feel free to comment, share everything that goes on there. We're on social media as well. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We even have a page on TikTok. So the more you can follow us out there, the more we can spread the message of great offensive line play out there. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, be sure to reach out to us through any of those social media channels and spread the word. We want to get offensive line play great here and everywhere across the area.